Hi everybody, it's Sabrina again. Thanks for returning for another video. This time I decided I wanted to talk about kind of my reading slump. I had a really long period of time where I went without reading, and I just want to talk a little bit about why I think that was, what caused that, and kind of things that I've done to kind of get out of that reading slump. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I think I'll just start with, I used to read a lot when I was a teenager. I used to really love like fantasy books, Harry Potter, Hunger Games, all the cliche book series that everybody loved growing up. And then as I got older, as I went off, moved to college, started working, I just didn't feel like I had the time, and I didn't know what to read. I didn't know what books were good. I didn't have my friends I used to talk to in high school who would recommend me books. I didn't really know anybody anymore who liked to read, and so I never knew what to read. I didn't know what books to pick up, what books to get into, and I just didn't think about bothering, I guess. I didn't want to pick up a book and then not enjoy it, not like it, and feel like I wasted my time, I guess. So I just didn't. And then recently, within the last few years, I've kind of slowly got into it a little bit. Maybe I think it was in 2023, 2022. I did read a few Colleen Hoover books. I did read It Ends With Us, Verity. I did read those. I'll talk in another video, I guess, my impressions of those books, but they weren't necessarily my favorite. I didn't have a strong love of them. They weren't bad, but I didn't love them in the same way I loved books growing up. And I think they can be a good way to kind of transition if you're intimidated by bigger books or bigger series. Maybe you don't want to dedicate to reading a 5-series book or 5-book series, especially if they are 500 more pages a book, right? That can be very intimidating. So I think that kind of starting out with some of those smaller novels, standalone novels, might be a good way to kind of ease your way back into reading, especially if you like romance. There's plenty of standalone romance books. So that can be a great way to kind of ease yourself back into it. Another thing that I think in the past kind of contributed to me not reading was I do think I was slightly addicted to social media. I did use, Facebook, Instagram. I did spend a lot of time on them. If you looked at my screen time, it was in the, maybe 8 hours a day, 7 hours a day, which is pretty ridiculous. So I didn't completely delete my accounts, but recently I have deleted the apps off my phone. And I found that has been a great way to kind of get back that time that I was just endlessly scrolling on social media. In the past, I tried to do that, but without deleting the apps off my phone. And, muscle memory is a thing. My thumb, anytime I was mindlessly not doing anything, was slightly bored, my hands would pick up my phone and just find the app. And next thing you know, I'm on Instagram, and I wasted an hour scrolling on Instagram. So I did delete the apps off my phone. They are still there. My accounts are still there if I ever want to go back on them in the future. I am still able to re-download them and go back on them as usual, but I did find that getting rid of my social media apps on my phone has been a great way to kind of get back some of that time that I felt like I didn't have to read. So the next thing I will say is, definitely the Booktube community in general has been a great resource for me as far as reigniting the love of reading, finding a group of people who are really passionate about books and who talk about books and what books they like, what books they don't like. It's definitely a great way to kind of filter out what's worth my time reading and what's not. So I think that's been a great resource that I didn't really know of before, that I didn't have before. So I'm able to kind of determine better now what I think I will actually like reading. And I will say one of the big series recently that has got me back into reading, I used to love book series when I was younger, and I think it was easy for me to read so much because I wasn't reading standalone books. I was often reading series, so I was reading multiple books in a series. So I did pick up the Court of Thorns and Roses series recently, and I have been reading these and loving them. So I read the Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, definitely my favorite so far in the series. I absolutely loved this book. I couldn't put it down. It kept me wanting to know more, what was going to happen next, which I will say has been a long time for me with reading since I felt this way as I did with this book. So I really loved this book. Next was A Court of Wings and Ruin, and like I said, after reading that second book, I absolutely had to know what was going to happen next, and so I went ahead and picked this book up. A Court of Frost and Starlight, just a little mini book, not very long. I will be honest, I wasn't a big fan of this book, but I do plan on making another video kind of talking about my thoughts on the books as a whole, each one, once I do completely finish the series, because I am currently on the last book, A Court of Silver Flames, and I'm not done with it yet. So I am maybe a third of the way done. I'm on page 239, and there is 755 pages. So I still have a little ways to go. Oh, 757 pages. So I still have a little ways to go, but I do plan on making a bigger, longer, review on my thoughts of these books once I do completely finish the series. But so far, definitely loving the series as a whole. Definitely would recommend. But like I said, sometimes when you see books that are this big, especially when you're new to reading again, that can be very intimidating. So if that is intimidating for you and you are afraid of that, I do recommend maybe starting out with like a standalone, maybe smaller book to kind of ease your way back into reading again. And then I guess the last thing I'll talk about is I did make a Goodreads account, and the main reason that I'm talking about this and the main reason I would recommend this is just to have a place, and it doesn't have to be Goodreads. You could use an other app on your phone, even the Notes app on your phone. Just have somewhere where you can track the books that you are interested in reading. So I love Goodreads because it has a currently reading, have read finished, and a want to read list. So the want to read, you can put all the books that you're even interested in reading on that list, and then that way if you're ever at a point where you're not sure what to read next, you don't know what the next book you're going to read is, you can always refer back to that list and have like tons of suggestions and options already ready to go when you're looking for your next book. I also like it because there is where you can set a reading goal or challenge for the year on how many books that you want to read throughout the whole year. So I decided to set mine for 50, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for someone who's just recently kind of this year really gotten back into reading again, we'll see. I think I can make that goal. I don't think I would have set it if I couldn't. So far, I have read 6 books. I am on my 7th right now. So it's only April. So we still have a decent amount of time to go throughout the year. I think I will be able to hit my target, but that can be another motivating thing as well for you to get back into reading. Sometimes it can just be fun to see, your accomplishments and how much books that you did end up reading throughout the year. So. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.